Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the showdown slate between the Atlanta Hawks and the Milwaukee Bucks. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Super excited to watch this series. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. I'm also starting to make videos for PGA golf. So if you're interested in the Travelers Championship, that starts on Thursday. I already have a video breaking down that. And I do make videos for NBA Top Shot as well. If you're unable to watch these videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below is called the DKDFS Show. And if you could leave a 5-star rating and review, that would help me out a ton. If you are interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that at patreon.com, an esports package that includes Call of Duty and CSGO, as well as an NBA package. Now, if you sign up for the NBA package, you'll get those golf data sheets, player sheets for free. So that is one perk if you do sign up for the NBA package. And I do want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this episode. If you guys are not familiar with PrizePicks, there's a couple of different ways you can play, at least for NBA. Number one is you can take over/under on fantasy points. And number two is single stat, where you can take over/under like points, assists, rebounders, three-pointers made, stuff like that. Right now, they only have a second half contest posted because the second half has not started yet, and I'm sure once this game winds down or ends, they'll have the NBA props or player projections up for tomorrow's slate. So can't really give any of those that I like right now, obviously, because they're not up. But again, if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up. Use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link down below. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. Basically, you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with. Again, I like PrizePicks. It's a nice change of pace, especially with NBA winding down. You're not playing against anyone, you're playing against the house. And I do want to give you guys a special shout out to all you guys watching this video, all you guys coming and checking out the live streams and on Twitter too. The support has really been overwhelming. So if you guys do enjoy this content, if you could hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos and you know when I'm live. I will be live to break down the show on site tomorrow, so make sure to check it out. And let's try to aim for 150 likes on this video. Every single like helps me out a ton because the more likes on the video, the more people can see the video. All right, so before we talk about players and the prices of the show on site, we can look back my lineup here from Tuesday's show on site. So Tuesday, it's looking pretty good right now. At halftime. Now, obviously, things can change, but I want to, I guess, slightly contrarian with Cam Payne, the captain. He was the third highest captain ownership, but I just thought he was way underpriced and allowed me to get to a lineup that I felt pretty good about. So, well, with Cam Payne, the captain, Paul George and Booker, both have had subpar first half, and I'm not super worried about it. They're both, about 90% on each. Now, I used Reggie Jackson here. The optimal, I guess, if I was using all my salary, would have been Ayton instead of Jackson, but I used Jackson over Ayton to get a little bit different. I think Ayton has 21, Jackson has 18, so right now it's looking about the same. I used Zubac for value. I was surprised how low on Zubac was, especially when he got announced starting. Talked about this a lot in the live stream about how I didn't really trust Boogie Cousins' minutes and I thought he was going to be over-owned. He was 40%. Now, he's only played, 3 minutes so far in the first half? Who knows? Things could change, but again, I was worried about it because he got burned in the defensive end in the first game. And then Rajon Rondo for value. I need someone super cheap, and he's hit 2 threes. So he's at 10 fantasy points at a half. Not bad at all. He was pretty popular, too, at 45% owned. But that's where I'm at. Again, I only played the big $20 tournament right now, winning $50. I'm in 873rd place out of how many? I don't know. It's like 20,000. I forget how many entries is it. But, yeah, looking decent right now. So I hope you guys are having a good night. I hope you guys end up having a good night and win some money. And let's see if we can keep it going for this showdown slate. So let's see. We got Hawks Bucks. It's a 226 over under, and the Bucks are 7.5 point favorites. So we'll start off with Atlanta Hawks and Trae Young at the top at 11-6. I know he had the awful shooting game last game. I know, right? 5 of 23. But the thing I want to bring up is he shot 5 of 23, and he still went for 40 fantasy points. So I still like Trae a lot here. I think he is up there, obviously, with Giannis and Middleton is, the top spend-ups for the show on site. So I do like Trae a good amount. Now, can you make the argument to fade him? Yes, I think you can. If you do fade Trae, then you probably want to get to some of those secondary pieces from the Hawks. But yeah, Trey, I think looks like a really good play. You are going to have to pay up for him at 11.6, but yeah, I like him. Now, Capella at 8.6, I'm probably still not going to get to him. I've been off him so far in the playoffs, but I do think this is a little bit of a better match against the Bucks as opposed to the Knicks, and then the awful matchup against the 76ers with Embiid. So I think he's a little bit more playable now, but I'm still probably not going to go there. 8.62 still feels maybe a little bit overpriced, but again, I think he's a little bit more in play, I guess, here. John Collins at 8.4K. I mean, he should play 35 to 40 minutes. He played 41 last game. I mean, he's been pretty solid. He's basically been the number 2 in offense. Him and Kevin Huerter really stepped it up. He's a good rebounder. He can block some shots. He does have a somewhat low floor, and he is prone to some foul trouble, so there is still some risk with John Collins, but I think a perfectly fine play there in the mid-range. Kevin Huerter at 7.2. So he is probable, fully expect him to play. What we have to keep an eye on here is Bogdan and Cam Reddish. Now, I expect Bogdan to play, but Cam Reddish has been out the entire playoffs, and he might come back. So I think if he does return, that would be a few less minutes for Huerter. With Kevin Huerter, I'm a little bit torn because he's looked really good the last couple games, but I just want to bring up, right, the floor is low. He still has, if he's not hitting shots, he can go for under 10 fancy points. He's gone for 5 fancy points in 2 of the last 5 games. So the floor is still there. Now the price is up. I'm a little bit torn at what I want to do with Kevin Huerter because he's a decent rebounder. He's obviously a guy that can score the ball. I just feel like he might be a little bit over-owned on the show on slate. Now, if Bogdanovich, if he plays, another one I'm a little bit torn about because he was playing really big minutes in the playoffs, like 35 to 40 minutes, and last few games he had foul trouble, then the knee injury's been bothering him, so he's been playing less minutes. He didn't close the last game. I think if he plays well, there is still a chance he could play 35 to 40 minutes, and he could be like a must in the show on slate. So this one is also a little bit torn about. Like there's a wide range of outcomes for Bogdan. Obviously, he can aggravate the knee injury. He can play like 20 minutes like he has 2 of the last 3 games with, kind of limited with the knee. Or if he plays well, he can play 40 minutes. So Bogdan's another one where there's a wide range of outcomes for what can really happen. With Gallinari at 6K, and keep an eye on Reddish, keep an eye on Bogdan. If they are both out, then that's really locks in the minutes for Huerter and Gallinari. Again, if they're both in, then you might see Gallinari's minutes tick down a little bit. I do think he probably plays at least 20 to 25 minutes, I would say, and possibly more. He's played 32 of the last 3 games. Now, with Gallinari, he's a good scorer. He can rebound the ball. He's not the best rebounder, but he can get some rebounds. He's a taller player. Obviously, was like 6'10 or so, 6'9. He's a tall guy. So I think Gallinari at 6K is a fair play. Doesn't really stand out, but it's a fine filler option. Again, with Reddish, I'm not going to play him if he does play, because I would guess he'd be limited. But if he does play, that's where we could see less minutes for guys like Gallo, maybe a few less for Huerter, maybe a few less for Bogdanovich, right? So I'll have to monitor that. And Lou Williams at 2.6 actually is playable because he is a decent point per minute guy, obviously a good scorer, and he should play 10-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more if he plays well. So I'm fine using Lou on the show on slate. Just know you're most likely going to get around 10 to 12 minutes or so. And then Okongo is at the flat min price. He'll play the backup 5. Probably get somewhere around 8 minutes or so. He actually played 10 and 16 the previous 2 games. So if you want to go there, I don't hate it. I think this is setting up for a little more of a stars and scrubs build again, because the stars really do it all for both teams, right? Giannis, Middleton, Drew especially dominate the usage for the Bucks. And you kind of have Trey, a big step up from the rest of his team as far as usage goes. So I think it's going to set up for more of that stars and scrubs build. And Okongo's a guy, the flat man price, that if you play him, it opens up a lot. So that's our mat. Like Solomon Hill, Tony Snell, they might play a little bit, but not enough for me to consider them. So let's talk about Milwaukee here. Giannis Antetokounmpo, again, very, very safe. He's going to be super, super popular. Definitely like your cash game play in the captain. Going to play around 40 minutes or so, and obviously he's a do-it-all guy. I don't want to spend a ton of time on Giannis. You are going to have to pay premium for him, but very, very safe. Now, with Middleton versus Drew, once again, I'm going to prefer Middleton. He was much more aggressive in that Brooklyn series. Now, you never know, because in the game 1 or in the first series, Drew Holiday was much more aggressive and the much better player of the two. So they've been flipping back and forth. I do think though I would still rather get to Middleton. He's a guy that is a decent rebounder, obviously can score the ball and can get some assists. He's gone for 8, 5, 5, and 6 assists the last 4 games. Now what I will say is this is game 1 and they played massive minutes in that Nets series. So I do think the Bucks maybe extend the bench a little bit, kind of like Clippers-esque, I guess. Now, there's no guarantee with that, but I don't think the Bucks can get away with basically running a 6-man rotation in the playoffs, right? So I would guess the Mets go down a little bit for guys like Giannis, Middleton, and Jrue Holiday. Now, Jrue Holiday, 9-4, again, he struggled a little bit for sure. He's been struggling shooting the ball in that last series. He's still a guy, though, that has upside. He can go for 50, right? He was averaging like 45 fantasy points in that Miami series. So I still have some interest in Jrue. I would just rank him behind Giannis and Middleton for me. Brooke Lopez at 6.8K is kind of like, it's doable. I think he plays around 30 minutes. I do think his minutes might go down a little bit too. A decent point per minute guy can hit some threes, can get some rebounds. He's gone for 3 and 4 blocks too the last couple games. So Burlow's kind of a fine filler play. Doesn't really stand out. Again, I think he might lose a couple minutes. PJ Tucker, so like, do they need PJ Tucker here in this series to play this many minutes? They really needed him to guard KD, but do they need him against Atlanta? I would say they don't need him as much, right? Because Trey's really the guy you worry about. You can actually throw Jrue Holiday on Trey. So, like, I don't think they're going to need PJ's minutes as much, so maybe his minutes tick down. And we know with PJ Tucker that he is not a good point per minute guy, not a good, fantasy player. But if he's going to play over 30 minutes, you can go there. Just know that the floor is single-digit fantasy points with PJ. But he's a guy that can knock down some corner threes, right? That's really where he's going to get a lot of fantasy points if he can hit a couple of corner threes, maybe fall into some rebounds and get like a block or two. Bryn Forbes at 3.2, so his minutes were trending down in that Brooklyn series. However, like I mentioned, I do think the bench gets extended a little bit in this game because I don't think the Bucks can continue to run basically a 6-man rotation. So maybe instead of like the 10-ish minutes we're getting for Bryn Forbes, maybe we get closer to 15 to 20. Now, there obviously is risk with Bryn Forbes too. He is super, super reliant on the scoring. And if he's not hitting his shots, he has a really low floor, like we've seen last couple games, right? 1 and 0 fantasy points. So that is the risk of Bryn Forbes. Now, Bobby Portis is the one where I don't know what to do here. I am so torn because he is such a good point per minute guy, but he's been out of the rotation like the last 3 or 4 games. But, like I said, can the Bucks continue to run this tight of a rotation? I don't think so. I think they have to extend it a little bit. So, if Bobby Portis plays here, he's most likely going to be in the winning lineup because if he plays, he's going to play probably around 15 minutes. And like I said, he's a really, really good point per minute guy. But this is the same argument as Boogie Cousins put out, right? So I was like, hey, if I knew Boogie Cousins was going to play 10 to 15 minutes, I would play him because he's that good a point per minute guy. But I said, hey, there's a chance he barely plays or gets a DNP. And that's how I feel about Bobby Portis. So high risk, high reward play. But if he does play, if he checks in, he's probably going to be in the winning lineup tomorrow. So I do like Portis. However, there's a lot of risk involved. I think Connaughton is the much safer play. He's played 22, 32, 22, and 22 minutes the last 4 games. He has been the guy off the bench for the Bucks that has been playing consistent minutes. And he can knock down some threes. He still has shown a decent floor, like a low floor. He had 2 fantasy points 2 games ago. But I think Pat Connaughton is the safer value play of the Bucks. And I do like that price there at 2.2K. And that's really it. Like, I don't think that, like, Thonsis might get a couple minutes, but not enough for me to really consider him. I don't think Jeff Teague plays in this one. So that is it for the player-by-player breakdown, guys. I think that's going to do it for the video as well. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos and you know when I go live. Again, I will be live tomorrow. Make sure to check it out. Thanks again. Have a great night, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.